You may have heard of Kentucky Route Zero. There's been quite a bit of buzz about it because it is now officially released, and you may have no idea what this game is, or it was a game that you heard of
8 years ago.
So
long ago.
At this point.
2012?
But that's why we're here, to tell you about this game, because we think it is pretty rad. I'm joined by Ben Janca.
Hello.
And Kurt Indovina.
Hi.
And I'm Jean-Luc. And this is Kentucky Route Zero. Kurt, I'd say you're the most aggressively enthusiastic about this game.
I would say the same. And what an honor it is. So Kentucky Route Zero is unabashedly one of my favorite games of the decade.
Ooh.
And it's hard to say that because the game has only just been completed, in the sense that it's been released in several acts over a span of many, many years. And now we finally have the concluding act of Kentucky Route Zero.
So what even is this game?
Yeah.
This game, if I could say it in the simplest terms, is a surreal fantasy folklore story about a man and his journey to drop off his final delivery. And it just so happens that his final delivery is in a place that requires him to take a mysterious route, just simply known as Zero.
Huh.
But when I try to explain the game to people, I try to say that it is best explained as an interactive movie script. So it's not so much an interactive novel as it is you go through these conversations like we're seeing here, and you get to make subtle choices on how that story is told. Nothing that has huge consequences in the end, but it shapes the way you play this kind of grounded folklore story.
You should name him Blue.
So in this case, we can name our dog Homer, Blue, or just some dog. I don't know his name. That's what I chose the first time.
That is something I remember really...
Just Blue.
When I first played this a decade ago.
And I think that's probably one of the most important things to bring up and say is that this game has been in development and released in fragments over many, many years, and it's very hard to get people on board with this game knowing that it's not finished.
Which is what makes now so great, because it's like, hey, it's finally done.
It's all here.
You can just play from start to finish. It's on every system. We're playing it on PC with a controller, but it's like Switch, PS4, Xbox, like it's everything, right?
Right. And the thing that I adore about this game, I mean, right here, just from the start, it has the most... I just love this art style. It's this minimalistic kind of graphic designer's wet dream of a pop-up book video game. I kind of like to describe it as a pop-up book, the way things move in and out.
Yeah.
And here is a lot of it is mostly dialogue. That is the gameplay element, is conversations and dialogue. And here, for example, is what I was getting to at earlier, where you can make choices, but they don't really have massive outcomes. It's kind of outcomes. It's more of the story you want to tell with the characters you're playing as. So here we're learning about Conway, who's not necessarily the main character, but he's the character that introduces us to this world and this dogwood drive he needs to get to deliver this last antique item for his delivery service that he works for. And here during this segment is like the very tiptoe intro to this mysterious route that you can't quite see or go to. Everything has this kind of underlying surrealist tone to it, where everything makes sense, though nothing does at all.
Yeah.
So I really like the idea that you mentioned, that it's kind of like you're writing your own script. That I didn't think about it that way.
This transition.
So this is like the pop-up book thing I was kind of talking about, and how these things kind of unravel and create. And then
the basement people.
The basement people, and this is and I'm sorry, Ben, we'll get back to the interactive script, but this kind of feeds into this surreal element where I talk to these people and I can choose what I want to say. It's like, oh, have you seen the breaker box down here? Sorry, I didn't know there was anyone down here. In any case, they don't even notice you. They don't even know you're there, but it's never explained. It's just simply is.
Just accept it.
And that's what it is. And that's I compare it a lot to the folklore writer Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who writes very grounded, surrealist fantasy work. And I think he is probably the most poignant example of literature that you can compare to a game like this. But you were saying like an interactive movie
Yeah.
script. And that's kind of how the best way I can kind of explain it to people. And also this very Americana feel that I kind of always like to bring up too. Because the music elements, I think, are just as important to the aesthetic of the game as it is the art style and the writing itself.
Yeah, I appreciate it's something that you kind of like over time, the subtlety of the choices you make, where it's completely different from like a Mass Effect or a BioWare game where it's like big, sweeping.
You know this is gonna be a big thing later
everyone's
on.
gonna have a different ending, and it's more just like the small subtleties. Like I named the dog Blue, and it's gonna be named Blue for the rest of the game.
Exactly.
By saying Blue, like I think I could be wrong, but it was like when you said Blue, it said her name, so like you're actually also picking the gender of the dog as well. Like very subtle storytelling, but it works and it invokes that same feeling of like I'm affecting the story and I'm having like agency in it.
It's and that's the thing that I really and that's like the part of it that I adore, in the sense that you're not making huge, massive choices. You are guiding your own story along just with your own kind of take and flavor. And when it comes to why this game is important, is that there simply is nothing like this. And at the time of which it came out, and I also think what's so interesting is that a game that's only just finished has had influences on other games. For games like Oxenfree, which I think has a very similar style and a very similar way of which conversations unravel. However, this game wasn't even done by the time Oxenfree came out as a completely finished game.
Yeah. Man, I didn't even think about that, but like, yeah, just the way, the simplistic polygons, the use of lighting.
There's an obvious style. This game has such a distinct style that it's almost hard not to associate games that came after it with this game, even though this game was not finished, and let alone by like 3 people.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is one of the examples where I can talk to them about the people downstairs and Joseph, this kind of, everyone has this very like airy, kind of calm old man quality to them.
Okay.
It's a very relaxing game.
It is.
In
And
a
the
way.
music is this like droning, swelling synth.
Yeah.
Underscore.
You kind of like almost, when I first played it, you're like waiting for the moment where it becomes like a horror game almost. You're like, oh, it's so...
Yes.
Like you're waiting for like this creepy unease to happen, and there's moments of like you're not really sure what's going on, but it's not trying to be scary or anything.
Yeah. So this is a great time where you kind of choose, nothing you do is the wrong answer. So Joseph needs me to go to his computer to unlock a way to get to this address that I need to get to, that apparently I need to take the route for, but he doesn't know how to get to the route. And this is one of those beautiful moments where you have the opportunity to kind of just tell the game what you think the password is, even if it is or isn't.
Right.
And by you doing so, it becomes that thing. And I just love some of these. This is the part where this balance of the game has like these weirdly poetic moments that you can just kind of choose. And you kind of, I'm now creating a poem as the dude's password. So I listen to him talking.
A fellow Grim Fandango fan, I love the opportunity to create poems in my game.
The moon throbs.
Oh man,
The lights whine.
All of us here are like huge point-and-click adventure game fans.
And I think, and that's like another thing for me, is that adventure games kind of exist now, but I feel like they most importantly exist in a different way than they once did. And I think this is, as in, we don't really focus so much on puzzles, but more so the thing that I think people took away from adventure games later down the road was its story and its characters.
And
I think this game's an excellent kind of continuation on.
I love Grim Fandango, but I would happily play a version of that game where I actually don't have to solve a puzzle and I just do the like dialogue.
I mean, it's just because the conversations and the dialogue is so good, and this game is kind of a similar way that the conversations are quirky and weird and bizarre, and you don't have to deal with a lot of gameplay mechanics in the way. But
this game is an experience for sure.
I'm really excited to go back because I literally had only played like the first act when it first happened.
Yeah.
And haven't touched it since. So this is just reminding me of like subtly of what I vaguely remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually kind of getting a little antsy to like go back and play it again.
Yes. And something else that's so just marvelous about how this game has rolled out is that in between each act, there's these interludes that you can play. On PC, they're not a part of the full package. You actually have to go to the website to download, to the Cardboard Computer website to download them. Or there's ones where there's actual phone numbers that you can call.
I remember the phone
with
numbers.
your cell. Yeah, like I know it sounds stupid to be like you can call it with your cell phone, but it's just a fascinating thing because we usually don't have to go out of our way to call a phone line and then use the numbers on our touchpad to figure out certain scenarios and certain things. But this game takes advantage of all of those, which gives it a really unique kind of nostalgia in a way.
Did you say the interludes are on the console versions?
Yeah, so the console version has them in sequential order. So you can choose to play them as they were intended, or you can just go ahead and skip to the next act if you liked. But in the game's brilliance, everything in some way means something in the broader scheme of things, even though nothing entirely seems to make sense. Yet, like I said earlier, it all does in the rules of the Kentucky Route Zero universe.
God, the whole feel of all of this just makes me think about it. I like to kind of associate different types of games with playing like at different times of day or during different types of like, I don't know how I'm feeling. This feels like a very good, like, I'm really tired after a long day of work. It's actually really late and I've gotten everything done and out of the way and I just want to relax and play a game from like 11 p.m. until like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
That's what this game feels like to me.
This game makes me want to take like a road trip across America, and then I stop at my motel for the night, and then I pull out my laptop and I play a active Kentucky Route Zero.
Oh, there you go.
I just need to figure out where I need to go. Head northeast on 65. Turn left as you see the ugly tree. I turned the wrong way.
The ugly tree that's always on fire.
There we go.
That's the one.
And again, that's like the thing I keep talking about. That certain things are very illogical, but always make sense in this place.
Oh, we're already into scene 2. It's happening.
And this isn't a terribly long game either.
Mm-hmm.
Each act. So what's interesting is Act 1 is maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Right.
And they get longer as time goes on. And as we mentioned, this game came out fragmented over many, many years, which is equally a criticism of it and a fault of it. Here's some of this beautiful pop-up book kind of art design and
silhouettes,
mood.
Things coming into focus.
But the game took years to make and came out what was always intended as 5 acts. And you can definitely tell as you play the acts back to back how they tend to get longer and they tend to get a little bit more involved, which I think is a testament of the process of these people developing a game and their first game for that matter.
That's got to be so hard to work on one singular game for like 10 years. And because like you it's not even just like you get tired of it. It'd be like the scope of what you want to do with it would change, but you're like, we gotta still have it be cohesive with that first act.
That's the thing that I think is so amazing about this game is that all these years later and having played it just recently, back to back to back, is how holistic the vision was from start to finish. And it's just one of those experiences that it's hard to have pitched to someone at the time of which these were coming out. So I think all of us in this room have played at least some of the acts at some point and may have started even when the game first came out. The first act came out all those years ago, but trying to tell someone like, it's not out yet, it's not done yet, but it's very, very good.
Get invested in this thing. It's not entirely there, but...
So, and I think a lot of people right now have just been waiting for this moment for all of them to come out, for all of them to be on console. So if there's any time to finally play this game,
it's right now.
It's now.
It's the best time. This
now.
is it. This is your call to action.
And the one thing that I adore about this game is that it teeters this almost kind of artsy indie thing that was quite booming in the early 2000s.
Excuse me.
but still maintains a lot of quirkiness and whimsy kind of natures to it. I often compare it also to like the Americana feels of like Coen brother films and how those like the soundtrack is so involved with the start and finish and feel and aesthetic of those movies. So I just love this game.
So we picked the right person to come on and try to tell people about it. But yeah, I remember when you were like, we should start this up. Who are we doing this? It's got to be Kurt.
Such an honor.
We sent you that cool text over Slack, and we're like, hey,
Kurt.
Hey. I think I just said yes.
Yeah, you're just like, yep,
whatever it is, yes.
So, and I it sounds like kind of wankery to be like it's so poetic, but there is a visual, just kind of poetry and
flow,
a visual
a flow,
look to the
right?
game that just is pleasing to watch as it is to read and to listen to. One thing we don't really get to see in the first act, but the thing that I also adore is how seamlessly conversations change. So you'll be talking with another character, for example, and before you know it, you're choosing that character's dialogue choices and the conversation changes in place.
Yes, I think Act 2 starts to get
and
into
it does
that
it in
stuff.
such a seamless way where you're just kind of telling the story from all angles, however, which way you want it to be told. And it's so dreamy that you don't even notice that it's happening.
Yeah.
And I just love it.
This music is doing a lot of lifting and definitely helping making all
Ben
the dream
Babbitt,
stuff.
who did the soundtrack for this, deserves a massage. There you go. High five.
You'll personally go to his house and give him a
I hope
massage.
he hears
like,
this.
Ben Babbitt. Kurt, I'm here to massage
Here
you.
for the massage.
Ben, if you're listening to this and you're ever in San Francisco, please let me know. I will squeeze your shoulders.
Hit your boy up. He's got you.
But he is one of the core names to the development of this game, which I find interesting because he's solely just the soundtrack. He's the music. But I feel like that is, as I've said many times, just as much of a character and just as much of a trademark as the three pillars of this thing.
Most of the time, that's just all you're hearing. It's just the soundtrack.
So in the ongoing mystery of this game, the person we just met is now gone.
Yeah,
He just
I was
had
gonna say.
disappeared.
Yeah, definitely a lot of ghost
Were they
vibes.
actually there the whole time?
Maybe. And a lot of it kind of always, and as the game goes on, though nothing makes sense, things do seem to come together. Things are coming together. Admittedly, I have not played the final act, so it is hard for me to say if it concludes in a satisfying way. But through the journey of the many, many, many characters you meet and get to control, this is a beautiful scene.
That's so
I'm just gonna
good.
sit here and watch this mysterious band who just hang out in a barn across the street.
It's this thing you wouldn't expect at all. You're just like, I'm walking back to my car. What's going on?
Yeah, moments like this is where I think the game really
And this game
shines.
has lots of them.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You can just talk to Blue.
It's the song in Act 3. I remember everyone talking about it when that act came out.
To love you now. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's the most defining scene of this entire game that I think really encapsulates what makes this game so special in terms of visuals, music, the ability to choose and kind of fabricate this story yourself in a way that it's your own. Right now I'm just talking to Blue, and Blue's listening, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you're literally talking to the dog about what you just saw.
Yeah, and he has nothing to say, but he's there to listen. And every character talks to him. Every character can talk to Blue or Homer or whatever it is you decide to name the dog, and they just listen. That dog just listens.
Heck
It's a good dog.
What a good dog.
Aw. I like the name Blue. That's a good name for a dog.
Yeah.
First time I chose No Name, and then I chose Homer for my second playthrough.
So there's a part of me that thinks like if you pick, it's just some dog, there's more mystery. There's a story behind that. Like where'd they come from? How'd they get here?
I mean, he does say that. He does add on to why that dog doesn't have a name.
Well, I think this is about a pretty good taste of Kentucky Route Zero. Is there anything else you want to add, Kurt, Ben?
I'm excited
Just
to play it again.
Play this game.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, it's one of those. I consider it one of those things. Even if you get it or you don't, it owes your time and attention to at least appreciate its existence in the realm of this medium. So even if you just end up hating it and you hate reading, that's fine. I get it. but I do think this is one of those defining titles that nothing was really like it before, and I think it's going to be a very long time until we see something like it again, and therefore it's worth you knowing about.
I
Definitely.
absolutely agree.
Yeah.
It is available now on all platforms, which is great. You can get the whole experience in one go, which is probably pretty great. You don't have to wait the way we did for
Yes.
for almost a decade.
It's going to be a much different experience for anybody who gets to play it from start to finish that way.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious how that experience is for somebody. But yeah, this game seems interesting to you. Please check it out. I think all of us here can highly recommend it.
Definitely.
Enough.
Yes.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank Blue.
Thank Blue.
Oh, what a good boy.